Oh, it's that.
Yes. So, yeah, Chloe, what's going on with your businesses? No?
Go ahead.
I did. No. Okay, we can start off with 30 seconds. All right, let's start off with 30-second pitch, and you're up. You're good.
Hi, my name is Chloe. I am about to open a laboratory in a university setting with for dementia caregivers to provide social service.
For what characters?
Using social media. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
For dementia caregivers to provide social services, social support and services.
so I'm not catching that word. DNA characters?
Oh, dementia caregivers.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, the caregiving person with caregivers
Of dementia.
caregivers of persons with dementia. That's
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
second language.
Oh, it's great. Laboratory. So explain that laboratory. That's,
In a university study,
so is this a study?
research study.
Okay. But I thought you said maybe I heard wrong. I thought you said that you were going to also do
Supported from the Washington.
okay. Right.
The confidential, so I cannot say more.
Oh, I understand. Awesome. Okay.
Very confidential.
Alright. I understand. Would you like to go?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Safia, and I am looking to develop children's abilities through their emotional intelligence. So I'm hoping to train parents and caregivers how to be able to locate, identify, map the skills of children from as young as 3 months up to 3 years, and be able to see what is their natural gifting and abilities. Help them to find their way in life, so that when they get to university, they know exactly who they are, what they're gifted at, what they're supposed to do in life.
Great. That was really good for your first time.
Yeah.
That was really good for your first time.
I can have nerves.
Awesome.
Mine completely changed.
Oh, that's really good for the first time. So I'll give mine and then I'll give some feedback. So my name's Achumboro Ataande. I'm from Ghana. I have a marketing firm, and we also do business consulting for small to medium-sized businesses. I focus on underrepresented business owners. I also have a fashion company, which is luxury fashion with inspiration from African aesthetics. All right. Now, feedback time. Does anybody have feedback for anyone else?
I think the term laboratory, maybe because of the American understanding of laboratory, I instantly thought bathroom. So I'm wondering, is there another term or word you would like to use? Because I still don't understand when you say a laboratory in a university setting. I still don't understand what that means.
So primary research team. That's can I say that?
Is it just a short-term research group?
Research, yes.
Okay.
So we're the process of establishing the team is the same as business. I have to hire people,
Okay.
and then I have to advertise using the social media.
Okay.
And then we have like multi-million, kind of. Usually university is business too. The research is business too. A lot of people don't know really Lord put me there. So
Awesome. So, yeah, I think you was laboratory, right? But I was wondering from the laboratory's research, without going into what you can't say confidential, without going into the confidential nature of it, I'm trying to figure out, because you have to, in marketing, it can't be too confidential, because if you have to market it, you have to tell some of what's going on, not the whole thing. So maybe just switching around, starting off with, it seems like you're trying to improve the skill set of dementia caregivers. Yes or no?
Provide social support. Social support has 4 concepts: instrumental, emotional, informational, and operator. So skill set, 1 is skill set, yes.
Okay.
But we also support emotional.
But it seems like it's more focused on the social support. Thank you. That was the word that I'm missing. So I think in my thing, you're creating a center for social support. You're creating a center that provides social support to dementia caregivers, right? And I was started just trying to make it super clear, super fast, and then from there, once you put that out there and starting off, then you can go into details and what you want to say, what you don't want to say. But if we start off with the clearest version of the objective, then people know if they fit in that category, if they don't, or if they know somebody that fits in. So maybe just working on the wording, whether you like what I just said, or if you find something better to say, or if you don't like it, that's fine too. But just working on that wording, I think is good. Another thing, which applies to both of you, I like you kept it you stayed within 30 seconds. So that was, no, you did too, but you were more within 10, 15 seconds and then cut off, which is it can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. What I would say is, for both of you, don't forget to include something unique about yourself. Remember, like how I said, you've been telling me that I include that I'm from Ghana. Because if people can't remember my name, it's very hard to remember people's name in interaction, because you're thinking about so many different things that people always, why it's so hard to remember somebody's names. In that, it's so critical, that interaction, you have so much on your mind, fight or flight, and things are running through your mind. And so that's why it's so hard to remember. So give somebody something else, something unique. Oh, hey, you're from Ghana. So it's different if I approach, you're from Ghana, I don't remember your name, but I remember you, and I remember something specific about you. It makes it easier for them to come up, instead of you avoiding somebody because you know you don't know their name, right? So that makes you stand out, makes you unique, and maybe it's something, hey, I had a really good friend from Ghana, or wherever you're from, or whatever you like. Just find something unique about yourself that you can say quickly, and give somebody another point to connect with you or remember you. All right, so that's what I'll say is a good way to start off. Yes. Yeah, and Sophia, I'll say that too with you. You, as I said, you did very good. You did very good. I would say let's work a bit on the wording for children's skills development. I found similar with what I did with her. If we start off, because you got to it kind of at the end, where I think what I'm going to focus today is with marketing sound value proposition and differentiation. What makes you your unique value proposition? What makes you unique in marketing? What you should focus on? How you can really get clients and keep clients and separate yourself from your competition. And with that stated, that's why I would try to get really clear on what you're doing. And it's more but finding what's most poignant with what you're doing. And that was, for me, was helping children identify their specific talent or where they should go in life, or their specific skill set at a very young age. So maybe just kind of how we pushing that to the forefront, because I get from my parent, I'm like, oh wow, I want to find out what's unique about my parent, unique about my child. And then you can focus on that. And I think even along marketing lines, even we're pushing that forward, we're seeing people assume or they'll soon realize traditional school setting isn't working the way it used to work, if it did used to work. And so identifying that, and now alternative methods of learning. And I think maybe I touch it more since I'm an entrepreneur, but there is a rising of the tide for the school of thought that people should focus on their greatest skill, not on trying to be good at everything. So you can, I think one of the best things, people think best things for companies, really companies who grow to be amazing, huge companies, a lot of them sometimes they just ride the wave of time. Like it's just their time because they identified something early. So if you can somehow attach yourself to that and wrap your marketing or wrap your brand around that, identify that early, then it's like, oh my gosh, think how easy it is. Hey, she helped me. Oh my gosh, you have so much marketing potential because you are targeting a group of people who are going to be around other clients like yourselves, like new mothers or mothers in general, fathers in general, family. They're going to be around them, whether they're dropping them off at school or going to school, play dates, group dates, baby showers, things like that, and they can just spread the word of mouth and say, hey, she helped me identify my kid's skill very early, and she was great. So that can really help that being from referrals, but you have to get to that line that says, hey, she helped me find my kid's unique skill.
I heard myself cut off the age group and narrow it down, and I'm not sure why I said that, because in doing that I actually excluded everyone else outside of the newborn to 3-year-old.
That's fine.
But the thing is, there are parents who are now finding out when their children are 7 or 8 that they don't really know how to handle them, how to help them, and it's showing up in the school setting. So I would say even to myself that pitch, I would not give that age bracket again. Because I literally just chopped off a whole lot of people who need help all the way through, at least to elementary age. The thing is that my specialty was in that age group, and I've seen it work. But now that I'm in the elementary school setting, I'm seeing it carries over. You know, it's not just a particular age group. So yes, that's for myself.
Okay. Well, now I'm going to push back a bit on that.
Okay.
It's
better to specialize.
You may be right, but I want to give you a broader picture at least, so you take into account these variables. One, you're going to have to cut off at some point. So saying, once you say elementary school, I'm going to say middle schoolers don't have that, high schoolers don't, college graduates don't have that. People now into their 30s, 40s, that's why we have midlife crisis.
Yes.
So there's always that. There's always going to be that. Which is fun. Yeah, that's.
I was on the way on the bus, I cried.
Yeah.
One of my friends.
Yeah. No, that's so true. But you're gonna see that. So that's. Right. You're getting market research right here. You're getting market research right here. And you'll see even in this group, you'll see that's so. It's okay to say no to people. You can, and what you can do is, hey, we don't serve that right now, but write down your name, and maybe later on we'll serve that, and then you can hire me for that. So you can always do it and have that cut off. The issues once you brought it in with marketing, you make it too broad. You dilute your message. See, 1 to 3, okay, that's 1 to 7, okay. Parents are looking at different things in that age group. They have different mentalities. They have different ways for me to message them for their child. So once you brought in it too much, that's why people rave about specialization. People don't think about it from a marketing standpoint, but when you do it, when you specialize from, it's easier for people like me, marketing professionals, to show you who you should be targeting, how you should message them, what type of messaging best conveys the story you want to tell, how you should differentiate yourself. So it's all right. but you have to make that decision for yourself. I just want to let you know there are big trade-offs, and with anything there are going to be.
I did very well in that age bracket.
Okay.
So I guess I should stick to it.
Yeah, stick to it. And I think that's enough. Not going off marketing, but another big problems. You said we're reading about diligence, focus. But one thing that's not written, I don't remember reading before this. One of the biggest mistakes that CEOs and business owners there's two. We don't do what's successful. We don't keep on repeating successful actions. And then two, we repeat unsuccessful actions and try to say. So those are two of the biggest things with CEOs, our big problems. So that's something I wanted to touch on. Okay. Yeah. So very, very good. Very good.
I don't know if this is the place, because it's been recorded, to say that I actually have a name for that.
Okay. I wouldn't say if you feel that your name is something you want to protect or keep at now that you haven't, if you've already put it out in the market.
I haven't, no.
Okay, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I'm gonna adjust this camera because as people come in, I think it needs a wider angle. But well, I'll say if you want to write it down and I can read it,
Yes.
just tilt up your book a bit so it can't be seen by the camera.
Tilt up my book.
Or wherever you write it, just.
I'm gonna write it in your book.
Oh, okay. Okay. Just like that.
Oh,
Like that, yes.
that's it.
Hey Josh. How you doing? It's being recorded just so you know.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Glad to see you. Glad you can make it. Good to see you too.
Chloe? Josh. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm Josh. Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Sophia.
Sophia?
I met you when I signed up.
See you.
It's so beautiful today.
Yes.
So good to, see that. Oh, so great, Josh. You just came. We were wrapping up the pitches, 30-second pitches. So if you want to do yours, you can.
My pitches. I am a international tax attorney at Ernst & Young, and my name is Josh Ott, and I've been in the city since I moved here from Denver, 5 years ago now, and tax has always kind of been in my blood. My great uncle Harry is one of the first IRS workers hired back in the greatly expanded service in 1913 and started taxing income. And tax is always in the back of my mind, but I spent my childhood and young adult life chasing the dream of becoming a professional musician. And then I tried to move out of my parents' house when I was, after I graduated college, and found out that I was just as difficult as it sounds on a musician's salary. So that got me interested in law school, and also got me interested back in tax. And now here I am, I'm just happy to be here. And I think my vision is to hopefully make partner at either a Big Four accounting firm or be another law firm over the next decade or so.
Awesome. Anyone has feedback for Josh?
Only 30 seconds? Yes, alright.
Probably like 40 seconds.
Good feedback.
I should what is a tax?
Yeah.
lawyer?
Yes.
How you doing? Feel free to grab a seat.
So I am an attorney, and
Somebody-
I work in
Do you see
international.
this outside as a full of policemen?
Yeah, down the street. I'm glad they weren't going where we were going.
Somebody's like committing, think they're committing suicide.
Oh,
Yeah, somebody's like on the top, like thinking of jumping, so the police just mixed up on it.
Yes.
It makes not.
wow. wanted to let you know we are recording this, just so don't say anything confidential that you have. You this very. I'm not saying it's nothing confidential, but don't say anything confidential because we are recording this, and I'll explain again when more people come, so I don't have to explain when everybody keeps walking it over and over. But we're giving Josh his feedback. Awesome, good. You said it was over to 30 seconds. Good. Good plug. Great. Anyone else? Feedback?
I was asking about understanding tax law.
Yeah, so I work primarily on large U.S. corporate multinationals, and I advise them on taxation of their business, cross-border taxation primarily being with the U.S. Also with large transactions interact with other countries' tax laws, and while U.S. tax isn't always the central focus, I think it drove historically a lot of the development of tax law, and I think U.S. tax attorneys tend to now sort of drive a lot of that practice there. So I guess I'm an attorney, and I talk to large corporations and try to help them minimize their tax bill.
Okay. I think what you said earlier about saying something about yourself that people remember, that was very good, talking about your great-grandfather, being one of the first IRS persons. But I got lost with the whole, what exactly you do.
Yeah.
I heard the word tax, and because I know the word tax, that stuck. But apart from that, I couldn't understand what it is.
Okay. I appreciate that, yeah.
Right.
That's, that makes sense. I remember last time my feedback was like adding in something personal, so I was trying to add a little bit more, but it's,
It looks like the musician band, you can remove various obstacles through beat within 30 seconds.
yeah, I think I could probably make
The musician that like drift away to the
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, okay.
That's good. So I would say I would piggyback Sophia a bit. I think reorganizing it a bit would help in terms of saying your name first, maybe, your name, and then just right after it, the unique fact about you, and that could be about your grandfather. For me, what was really memorable was the instrument you played last time. But for you, you can change it how you want. But and that could be one or two things, right?
Okay.
One or two things that's memorable. And right after that, jump into what you do / what are your objectives. Because we got lost in that because that came a bit after the story.
Yeah.
Yes. People's attention span, it dies. Mm-hmm. Because what you're doing is we're putting so I'm going to explain the rationale for that. We're putting the most important things. One is to make sure people remember you, and two, to make sure people know what you want to do at the front when they're most likely to hear and remember what you're saying. So that's the mindset. That's why we structure it this way. And so putting, whether it's your objectives or what you're doing right there, because even if people forget the rest, you may plant a seed at the beginning. You just want to plant that seed that later on you'll ask about tax, somebody else will ask about music. They may not remember everything, but he'll linger on those two things, which are the most important things to you anyway.
Yeah.
And they can ask about it even if they forget the rest of the story.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say for you.
Okay. Cool.
But I really think like music makes you very, very unique because attorneys can be very
The image of an attorney.
yeah. So it makes you more different. Your grandfather can be music too, but like your personality, I think it's really like music, division or makes you personality.
And now I'm actually going to piggyback off of you too, because what Chloe said with now that I think depending on your objective is which one you want to focus on. Sure. Because you want to, now I'm getting into marketing and branding yourself. You want everything you say, especially in 30 seconds, we're trying to, I used the right word, especially since we're being recorded. We're trying to put you in the best light possible for your future, right? So if you want to keep growing as a partner in tax or something like that, maybe focusing more on your grandfather is better because it explains, it's like this heritage. It explains this why you are so passionate about it and why you are doing it and things like, so that wraps really well into a story for the future. And when they present, hey, his grandfather did this and he does this, this is somebody who has tax in his blood, who's going to the aspirations. So that's why.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. I guess.
Cool. No, that's cool.
Alright. Now it's your turn.
Sorry, I'm supposed to do what?
30-second pitch.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, I'm gonna pitch something out. So basically, I have this new business that idea that I'm thinking of, which is I'm gonna sell background music to businesses. So if you're like a YouTuber or a business who wants to use copyright music and you don't want to spend a lot of money licensing music from other people, then then you come to me. I'll have a library of music that you can choose from for different purposes, and then that's basically it. Yeah.
And what's your
I was just about to say the first. The
I
same
haven't
person
thought about
was
that yet.
asking.
no your name?
Oh, my name is Felix.
Felix.
Yeah.
There we go.
Feedback?
That was my first thing was, who are you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was it.
Even if you have just a name. I mean, I know we've met, but like it's even just having a name.
Yeah, my brain's dead.
That's good.
Yeah, but I'm gonna hammer this as I'm gonna piggyback with everybody. Hammering your, even if people know your name, sometimes people forget people's names,
That's true. Yeah.
right? Right? We figured. So okay, my name is Felix. Your last name too.
Right.
Also, you can stick with one name. Actually, do whatever you feel is comfortable for you. Because I think it's easier when you're genuine. I think it's always better when you're genuine and find your place. So that, two, like we're saying, what's unique about you? Like where you from, what you like doing, your background, something unique, just so people, even if they forget your name, they remember that unique thing. Or you can, like Josh, you can tie that unique thing into what you do, your business. So what's unique about you?
Right. What's unique about me? Well, so I think the unique thing about me is I'm specialized in electronic music, which is not very common in the US, I would say. So, and of course, based on my experiences from overseas, I've been to a few places like Australia, in Asia, and then now in America. So I think those experiences enable me to create a music that is different from what the usual is. Yeah.
So sorry, I wasn't clear. I meant what's about you personally.
Oh, personally.
You can say that, that's fine too. Hey, I've lived in Australia, I've lived in Asia. You can say that. You can, I say, tying a personal, if you're gonna do something specific about your business, that's fine. But tying up also a personal fact, so because people make business decisions sometimes based on who they like, right? And so giving them a chance to like you the one of the best ways. Yes, we make decisions on who we like, but we also we only buy from people we trust. So what you're doing, you're tapping into the second part, the trusting, by saying you have a specific background in music, right?
Right.
So that's, but first, they need to like you, especially now. It's hard to make a sale right then.
Right.
We got to build a relationship. So tell them, why should they possibly like you, or who are you? Let people know who you are.
Right. So it's kind of like a personal story.
Yes, but just really bite-sized. I'm from here, or this was my passion growing up, or this is my passion now, or anything, but just something unique about you.
Right. So let me think. So I'll say. So something unique about me in my music is, I was a full-time DJ back in Singapore in biggest club called Zouk, as well as yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Just say, I used to be a full-time DJ at the biggest club in Singapore.
Right.
And
Not,
that hits
Yeah.
me because I live in Singapore, so I'm like, oh, I know Singapore.
Yes.
Like, yeah, so.
Yeah, honestly, just that sentence. My name's Felix. I was a DJ at the biggest club in Singapore, and now I want to sell background music. Yeah, and everything else you said after that, like would have. It's still great. I'm still good you're doing it, but like that lead in, like really
I see.
drives. I love it.
Well,
Yeah,
then
it's a huge difference.
you can tell us, oh, but it's not related to the music. Like, I mean, so you're coming from a shock factor kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah, you want people to remember you.
Right.
The point isn't you can. This is an introductory to you. You're trying to get people interested in you, and that's also the reason why we don't want to go too deep in it. Some people do not need to know that story. Some people don't care for the story. That's why it's 30 seconds or less. That's why we're also focusing on these things so they remember you, they know what you want to do. All right?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, thanks, bro.
Yeah. I brought.
No, I just need a pen. I just got
Oh,
a
shit.
pen.
Do anyone want a notepad? Yes.
You spent time in Thailand?
Thailand and Singapore.
Let's go.
This is my notebook.
Come
The real one.
Your cup and cup.
Awesome. Okay, great. So now I also wanted to add something, especially when we start updates. Any big updates in the last 2 weeks for anyone?
Work too hard in my work.
Work too hard in your work? Okay. Is that your which work? Is that your full-time
Yeah,
job?
that's my full-time job.
Okay.
Too much.
All right.
Yeah, I have some update. I talked to Washington officer, and he told me that that I'm still upfront the project. So I got almost the first score of the school.
Awesome.
So it was nice. God did it.
Amen.
Actually, the last time, it should not be a testimony, but the last time the person next to me, sitting next to me, actually, she was an expert of clinical trial, data safety monitoring, and she kind of tell me like what I have to write, and actually I was requested from Washington that I have to submit, and it's like I was pulling my hair, but then she told me right there next to me, so it's like yes, and then I write it as she said, and then I submit, and then everything was great, and then it was passed by the ethics group within a couple of days, and it's just miracles like Red Sea.
Amen.
Yes, the most miracle.
Amen. Amen. Great. Great. Anyone else? Updates, problems?
I think it's been a huge amount of work over the last few weeks, but I mean, I think that goes with the territory. I mean, we're in the middle of a deal right now, and there's just a ton of stuff to do. Bringing more people on the team, try to introduce them to our processes, and like have them help us out as we're trying to build our various calculations and documents and trackers that we need to build to properly execute. And there's always surprises, things you didn't think of, so on and so forth. But it's all part of the process, and it's really interesting to see how it works again and again and again. Just because there's always more sort of like gather like from the process about like how this kind of things work. I mean, it seems like the lead on any project, it seems like their job is almost to be like a wedge or a vanguard, like just sort of push in there and like get things started, and then bring along behind them like some expertise from like our national offices or other subject matter experts who can actually sort of help kind of solve the problems. It's like this person's like a battering ram of energy that just comes in and knocks everything down, and then other people come in and like make sure everything works again, and then I guess they kind of just smooth everything over at the end. Like everyone kind of goes home happy usually. It's been it's been interesting to be part of the process. I guess I'm one of the people who's like coming in and trying to fix stuff, but I get to see the whole process, and I feel like I'm learning a ton. I think when God puts me in the place next steps, I think I'll be ready. Sometimes it feels like that, sometimes it doesn't, but I think I just have to. I think the important part is just to have faith that it'll work out, and that I don't know. I think that makes it more likely to happen, and enjoying the process.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Big updates. I went to TSC yesterday. I found myself with a little bit more time than I thought. So I went to TSC to ask them about the group, the process, what we're going to do moving forward. And I was walking with a nice surprise. So they have remodeled the 4th floor a bit into a wonderful space that we may be able to work out of soon. It's beautiful. I know even if you've been up to the annex, you've seen the beautiful views from there. So they're working on that. They're working on Wi-Fi. They're working on having a screen and monitor for us, so we can work and present things. And I said, yeah, that's what some of the people wanted. So, and they also asked me about potentially moving this to a weekly meeting. I see you also. For my sake, if we do a weekly meet, what I would need, and I told them, is I would need and I wanted to do this anyway, but to bring in other business owners and people who have knowledge to come and speak at least once a month, so that I never wanted to be only my voice, but it also in terms of I still have my businesses to run, but I still want to produce quality, so I don't want us to have more quantity and less quality. So that's just to let you know, that's some of the things they're thinking. They also would like us to potentially reset and start from the beginning in terms of what we were doing.
Sure.
Which I think will be, I'm going to try to find a way to make it still helpful and beneficial for those of you who went through the process. So I'm going to, whether it's coming out with a better process of doing things, but I'm still going to try to format it in a way that's beneficial for everyone if you choose to come. But if you don't, that's fine too for specific meetings. All right. And with that said, as I said, we're going to start recording this for several reasons. One of that being that if you happen to miss a meeting, you can come and watch it. I'll put it on my YouTube channel, so you don't have to sign up. I'll probably post it to the Facebook group too. So there's no sign up process. You can just watch if you do miss a meeting. Two, if for the new people coming in, so we don't have to eventually keep on doing these cycles of the same thing over and over again. They can just go and watch the video, so everybody's just moving forward, right? And three, I really want to learn from what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong, and studying that and seeing, hey, this is a better way to answer people's questions. We're losing time doing certain things. We need to focus better. So those are my big priorities for making this shift. But with that said, the sad thing is we lose some of the confidentiality since it's being recorded now. But that's why I just wanted to remind you and make sure I remind you over and over. And worst case scenario, if you remind me, I can go back and scrub it. But I'm not a video editor, so please don't make me do it. Let's just remember, I'm not a video editor, so please don't make me do that. So that's what I said, and from now I think I'll just jump into the next. What I said, we're going to talk about marketing. So this is going to be part 1 of a part 2 discussion, because I was supposed to do marketing next week, but since she came in, she's usually in the Poconos, so that's why she can't make our meeting. She's out in the Poconos, and that's a bit much to
so
travel.
You cannot come next week.
No, that's a tough.
What is how far away is that? How long?
It's only 2 hours drive.
It's 2 hours.
Yeah, only 2 hours back and forth.
Well,
right.
Half a day.
that's on the
Traffic
bus.
jam.
If you're driving, it's less. But that's on the
Yes.
bus.
No, but so I figured out, and God was also talking my heart. Just do something on marketing. So this is going to be part 1 of the marketing, which I was planning to do next week. Not next week, in 2 weeks' time on the 3rd Saturday, which we will also be meeting here for that. Okay.
That's the Saturday
The
of
20th?
the Easter weekend.
Oh gosh. Yes. Yes. it
No,
is.
I was just about
Yes.
to say, then I can be here for that.
Okay. Okay. Great. So you'll be for it.
But I don't know if others, if they would have
Yeah.
family.
Well, we'll see. Whoever comes. I said, comes. All right. Okay. So let me jump into this. And the good thing is, it's a smaller group, so I'll be able to answer your questions, at least till people start trickling in, if they're still hanging around after that. Let's see if somebody can make sure I'm visible on this. I'm not crazy.
I mean, I can make sure you're visible.
Thank you. Yeah, make sure.
All right. Wait.
It's supposed to be like, yeah, it's supposed to be.
Ta-da!
Thank you.
All right.
Awesome.
So it's just you in the frame.
You need to drink water first.
I do, but I didn't bring some. No, I don't. I'll live. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Do you have cups?
Thank you so much. You sure? Thank you.
Are there cups we can use? Or?
Can I move these back?
You can move anything.
No, just because you're.
I think you can put them on the chair. What? I don't.
Because like, it's gonna be a video.
Sure. You put it on the
My father
chair.
was up the color, so I'm just like.
Oh, good. That's good. Make it great. Yes, and also another reason, so we can share more media with Times Square Church and they know what we're doing and things like that. All right. Thank you, Josh. I'll let you get comfortable. So as I said, today we're going to talk about marketing, and I'm going to look at it from a new entrepreneur to a small business, from that side, and I'm going to try to give you a theoretical foundation, but also making it practical. So it's not going to be super theoretical, but I believe you always need a foundation and a framework to think things through. So I think the best way to start off with, they have the 4 P's of marketing, but I'm not going to start with that. I'm going to jump straight into what I believe is the most important thing for you right now, and that is to understand your value proposition. Value proposition meaning why people buy your product. And then I'm going to differentiate that with your saying your unique value proposition, which is why people buy your product or service over your competitors or over substitutes. So we're going to look at it from that. So value proposition, that can be people buy your service because it satisfies a need, want, helps them meet an objective, which can be, you throw out examples, because as I said, I never want this to be just a seminar. I want people to actively think with me. And Josh has been through law school also, so he knows the Socratic method.
Oh yeah.
So why would somebody want your service?
To make their life easier.
What does that mean? Your specific service.
Oh, my specific.
Yes.
Um.
In general.
So that they can feel like their child is more important.
Okay.
Sorry, what's your service again? Can you repeat?
Identifying the skills of children at a very young age
I see.
and nurturing that.
Okay. So they can make their child feel that their child is important.
Yeah, more important,
Okay.
more successful in school.
All right. Okay. Good. Background music.
I guess cheap value, price point is probably one of the main things now, and this value proposition, and also I would say it would be like diversity in genres of music.
Okay. So explain what you're doing. And we're going. Let's walk through it.
For example, different business use different kind of music because it conveys a different message.
Yes.
So if you are like a newsroom, then you need some sort of newsy kind of music.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to explain, you gotta hear it, right? So you have basically the value proposition is you have all kinds of music, and if you just you can just use it whichever you want, basically.
Okay.
Right.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna work on that a bit. So why do they want the music? I think you touched on it. It's the tone. Like you're getting to the brain and emotion. So I'm gonna pull these words out of it. Different music genres, different instruments convey a different tone, and that's why you're saying a news is different than sports, which is different than a service industry. So it's different tones based on the industries, right? Different messaging, right? But why do they want that? And that's you don't have to answer that now, but you have to think about that because that's going to help you market your company.
Right.
Not just, okay, we're providing this, but why are you providing this service? Why do people add music to this brands?
Oh, okay.
Right? You don't have to answer that now, but I'm just giving you questions to think about. All right? And Josh, for you?
For me, it's to satisfy the objective. That's where we go. For a very particular person, which are the tax directors of large U.S. corporate multinationals, and we're looking to help them lower their effective tax rate and their cash tax liabilities. That is it.
Exactly.
And so we provide structuring alternatives and compliance services and ways to get that job done.
Awesome. So we started off with the value proposition. So that is why people buy the service, right? Now I'm going to switch it to unique value proposition, why people buy your service. So that for me split up in 4 different categories. Quality, better quality is one category. Price, cheaper price. Faster, right? And we all hear this, well, let me not say, you've seen this meme maybe. You can have 2 out of 3. It can be faster, cheaper, or good quality, but you only can pick 2 out of 3, right? So that's, but I think there's a 4th one. And I was looking to, for me, I believe there's a 4th one. And that is convenience. And so what do I mean by convenience? That is when your services are easier for someone to use, or your product is easier for someone to use. And while some people may put that in quality, I don't think it fits as snuggling quality as it may, because it may mean that instead for EY, you have a full suite of services, so they don't have to go to 3 different companies. They can it's convenient. It's convenient, and so I don't really see that in quality. Rather, I feel it's more convenience factor.
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Because I was looking it up and I wasn't too shy. I haven't seen anybody say this, but that's just how I feel.
I mean, this is the way the institutional relationship works. I mean, UI, creates a relationship with another company out there. They see the tax return, they know what the facts are, they know who the people are, right? And then they've developed this sort of entrenched relationship, and then it's very common for them to go back to the same place for the same kind of service when it worked once.
Exactly. And I think for you, Sophie, that's going to work really well in terms of if you stick to whatever age range you go, whether it's laudable, but then you can increase it. So now you're serving the full family, rather than
which is what happens.
Exactly.
Once I get in.
Once you get in,
I get in for one thing, and then they're like, "Oh, you can do this,
Exactly.
you can do that."
Exactly. But if you focus more, and we use the money you have and the skills you have to focus on one thing, and you can branch out and you can differentiate on convenience and quality. Because, so for you, what do you think you can compete on right now compared to your competitors, right? Are you going to be faster? Are you going to be cheaper? Are you going to have better quality? It's hard to be cheap and have better quality. That's really hard. It's usually quality and faster, or faster and cheaper. All right. Convenience is another thing, which I think it's hard to be cheap and convenient, but maybe it's possible. Such as like a 99-cent store. So it can be done, but you have to figure out what you want to do. All right, and you can just focus on doing one. When I said now we're going into strategy, you can focus on doing one, but from a marketing standpoint, figure out what's most important to your customers that you can actually compete on, right? So for you, it's going to be quality. That's why I keep on. For you, it's quality. Maybe cheap, but in my opinion,
No, it's not cheap.
it's no. But that's what I say. In my opinion, just my personal opinion, I think it's bad to focus on cheapness as a strategy. It's just, you're just doing a race to the bottom, and it's really hard to do that. I think it's better to focus on quality or being faster or being more convenient rather than focus on cheap. I think you can focus on cheapness to get your foot in the door and build a brand, but you have to eventually move to quality, in my opinion, to actually succeed and thrive. So that's what I will say. All right, so for examples, now, does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the first thing that comes to mind is like, I don't mean to countermand you, but I mean, it seems like that, like Walmart and other places, it seems like that tends to be like their long-term strategy, and maybe there's another way that like they're also competing. I guess maybe it's convenience. They're competing in a lot of ways, right? But it seems like driving down the prices. Driving down the prices that they pay is a big part of their strategy, and then I guess maybe they try to then push down the price to the end user. But yeah, maybe there's a bit more.
No, you're spot on, and that's why I didn't say it's 100. So one thing also, I'll say, Josh knows me a little bit more, but if you ever feel like you have a differing opinion, just say it. We're here to find the best answers, not my answers. So if you ever feel like you have a different opinion, just say it. And at least I would just want to add to the pool of, so you have whatever viewpoint, as you are all your own CEOs in your own realm, or soon to be CEOs in your own realm. So the best thing as a CEO is you get everybody's different viewpoints, and then you pick which one you like. You make the decision. So I think you are correct. My thing is, I feel it's hard long term to compete on, because once you compete on cheapness, you have to go to scale. Like cheapness and scale, you have to do that. So it's hard. So a mom and pop store cannot compete with Walmart. That's why they get pushed out. So that's my meaning. Like, you can do, but you have to grow at such a scale and cut certain things. And even with Walmart, as we're seeing, they didn't have this problem before, but as markets and industry changes, now they're having where is it Walmart? Labor problems, right? So eventually those things come up, because once you go, you can't pay people the same, because that all affects your value proposition. So you do see some successful things. For certain time periods, they may work. You never know. Walmart I feel it's harder to compete on that than it is to compete on quality long term.
For me, the link is, and this is more in a family setting, so I'm not sure how it works for businesses. But when I make a convenience in a family's life, in that I have made it easier for them to have their child learn without putting them in preschool or without getting a tutor or something, that actually affects their quality. So do you see a link between convenience and quality, or does quality stand on its own?
Yeah, that's why I said I feel there's a tentative link. I don't feel it fits smoothly in there. A lot of it may not.
I see it separate, but I'm wondering if there's a link. Like, can convenience lead to quality, or vice versa? Is it like a two-way stream, that the quality you give ends up being convenient, or the convenience you give ends up adding to the quality?
Sure. So the way I was thinking about it, like at least in my industry, is like the quality and convenience are sort of situational. I think it's kind of what the idea that you started with, like you got your dime store on the corner, right? Like they're price, that's the price and convenience sort of link right there. But like the quality and convenience link, I think again also starts out of a sense of convenience, right? And but then they can be sort of, I think, symbiotic because you are, if you're saving time on something, then you have a little more time to spend to sort of develop your view and your quality. And if you've got a little more quality, then it's probably going to be, you're going to get used to it, you're going to want to come back to it, and you're going to find a way to sort of develop that relationship, or especially for you, for your relationship building, like those two, I think, yes, can be symbiotic, but they will start as their relationship will start as situational and will grow based on, and their growth will also probably be situational as well, depending upon what your business model is.
Wow, no, thank you. I'm glad that you went first, because you actually touched on something that I think I'm going to it's symbiotic. It is symbiotic. I think it's symbiotic. And what I think, and the reason why it's so fuzzy in our minds is usually with higher quality, you have more convenience. Think about it. If you walk into a Bergdorf Goodman's or a high fashion store or whatever, they're going to treat you different. If you're flying first class or business class, it's way more convenient, right? And that's why we talk, because that's part of the package, right? When you're paying more for quality, they also provide more convenience. So I think now it's symbiotic and it's separate, but it's usually packaged together. It's usually packaged together. So just let's know. But also what I wanted to touch on, I think you're doing it in a good way. You're looking at it from how the client looks at it, which I usually try to force people to do it, but you're already doing that on your own. Yes, your families are looking at it from a quality perspective. Is she finding the best thing for my child? Or is her company finding the best thing for my child? And I think that from the convenient perspective is whether you're coming to their house or they have to come to you, or whether this is a one-time thing versus a 10-time thing. How can they receive your services? That's how I look at it if I'm looking from how you're convenient in that manner. Okay? Awesome. All right. So with that said, let's talk about businesses, because I really want to be in this unique value proposition point for all of you. Okay, let's talk about what are different businesses' unique value propositions, from whether it's quality, convenience, less expensive. So let's say Starbucks, for example. Starbucks, what would you think they fall into?
Definitely convenience.
Why is that?
You have to shop everywhere.
Exactly. What else? Is there anything else?
I would say faster.
Faster? Okay.
They're not all faster.
I don't
But
know.
I would say faster in regards to someone being able to, stop on the road, get a cup of coffee, maybe something to eat, and continue on.
Okay, so faster than other coffee shops?
Maybe, with the variety that they have.
Okay, all right, there we go.
Yeah. It's actually, price is something that compare them to Dunkin' Donuts, I guess, maybe that's the main competitor, right? Price is actually something they don't seem to compete with Dunkin' Donuts. They seem to sort of push themselves.
Also, we're recording, just so you know.
Hi, sorry.
They seem
They push quality.
Yeah, so yeah, and I think it seems to be the market's perception that they actually do achieve to some extent, and they can sort of offset a higher price with a higher value add. So, but yeah, speed and convenience are probably, now that I think about it a little more, like
The Wi-Fi
Yeah.
they offer, you can stay there, you can work,
Yeah.
you can have meetings, they won't run you out.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
That's very convenient.
That's probably
Adds to the quality of their lives,
Right.
their customers' lives.
All right.
We should pattern up that.
Oh yeah, cool.
Thanks.
In terms of the quality, I'm not very sure that Dunkin' Donuts has a worse quality than
Dunkin' Donuts does not, in regards to quality, it doesn't offer the ambience
right.
that
yes,
Starbucks offer,
Right.
so that you can actually have an interview. So instead of bringing someone to your home to have an interview, like in my case, they can say, let's meet at Starbucks. And they can literally sit there, they can buy something or not. No one will tell them to go. And what will happen is that you will return. And at some point in time, you're gonna buy something, And just having bodies inside gives the perception that whatever is inside is better. Just having more bodies sitting inside is their marketing. Somebody will, it must be better there than the
to Dunkin' Donuts.
across the street.
It's actually really interesting. It's almost like just writing down ambiance, but also like public space. It's almost like they've maybe it's part of their model, or maybe it's not. I guess I would think they probably don't do anything unintentionally at this point, just because their size. But it seems like based on the size of the shops, the layouts that we go to, that I think of, like when I think of Starbucks, like there's always a place to sit. There's always, as you say, they're never shuffling people out. And they, especially if they bought something, and they almost seem to like have like the Wi-Fi there. Yeah, they're almost like creating this niche of like a public space, like in a
Like an indoor park.
yeah. And I mean, and in America, like especially in New York, I mean, we've got parks, right? We have some public spaces, but they're not nearly as ubiquitous as the Starbucks. And so, yeah, I mean, it's almost like they've created or created, found, filled, whatever fulfilled the niche of public space in a way, and that, yeah.
And
That's
it's
really
very beautiful too, like design wise.
Yes.
The chairs
The
are
new one.
beautiful. Yeah, they always change it. I don't think
And they're not all the same. They don't look the same. They change according to the neighborhood. Which is interesting.
They invest for the design chairs. I guess.
Awesome. You see, now this is good because what I really want. Sorry, Josh, can you help me out with this again? It's you thinking for yourselves, but also now you're going to start seeing things with a marketer's eye, because these things you didn't notice about Starbucks or other places, you're gonna start looking at them. You're going to start looking at them. And so what we're doing right now, this meeting's on marketing, and we talked about value proposition, why people come to your store or get your service, your product, and now we're talking about unique value proposition, why they buy from one company or your company instead of other companies.
Okay.
All right, so that's what.
So I have a question that pops up once you're talking about Starbucks and the donuts, right? So it seems like people go to Starbucks because it's nicer and stuff like that. But that's not really any of the things that you mentioned in unique proposition. So where does it fall to?
Quality,
Best quality, that
Yeah.
design of the
Quality
space.
of life.
ambiance.
Quality
Yeah.
of life.
Alright.
All right,
It's
so
like an image, right? Like more like a better.
Yes, but it doesn't necessarily mean just the quality of your product. It also means the presentation, the package, the marketing.
service, it's.
Branding.
Okay.
The likelihood that you will have a rude person serving you at Starbucks compared to Dunkin'.
Dunkin' Donuts, but the root is part of the
It's-
ambiance. Like,
Yeah. At Dunkin' Donuts, there is nothing there to say that they have streamlined their training of their staff. You know, so however they feel, they treat their customers however they feel, but not at Starbucks. Because if you were to say, let me speak to the manager at Starbucks, that person is going to be in trouble. But if you do that at Dunkin' Donuts,
I am the
their
manager.
they're like, I'll take your name. Okay. And that be it.
No, but you see, and things like this that you're talking about, while we're focused on marketing, where you position yourself has so many trickle downs. It affects so many different parts of your business, from terms of who you hire, what type of service they give, because Starbucks has a whole different, or at least for a while, they had a much different compensation package to that of Dunkin' Donuts. They probably have much lower turnover than Dunkin' Donuts. So when you position yourself as quality and you can focus on these things and hire, I don't want to say better people, train your staff better. You can compensate your staff better, and usually in turn, that will make your staff treat your clients and your customers better, right? So those are things that you also look at. So now let's jump to Airbnb.
Convenience. Okay.
Yeah, it can be convenience.
Convenience and that.
So convenience and cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the quality, I would say, is in regards to the experience of your vacation.
Mhm.
Because if you can pocket more money for yourself instead of spending it at a hotel, they just added to the quality of your vacation to wherever you go.
So that's
Awesome.
three of them: convenience, quality,
Price.
and value.
convenience, I do not use Airbnb because of it's not convenient.
In what sense?
So I had a few incidents that I arrived in the different country, and then it was middle of the night. You have like developed time from
Oh, yeah.
9 o'clock to
Hotel is
your
definitely more
flight is
convenient.
not always
That's true.
yeah.
Don't
always
usually, I
flight
mean,
delayed, and it was a disaster.
Yes.
Like the music
Internationally, yeah.
but I thought you can usually communicate with your host and say, hey, I'm going to
Oh
be at
yeah,
this time.
international.
But
and
it's just
different
one
language.
person you're in contact
Yes,
with.
and then it's like
the hotel, you
for
have
one
several
call.
people.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yes.
So their convenience factor then is based off of the person to which they're delegating, right? Like if they, is what that tells me. It's like so if you got someone who's like really good at running a home with their own B&B to begin with, then you might experience higher convenience. But if it's a person who's like, you show up 2 or 4, you got 2 hours to show up, and if you don't, sleep with the cat. Like I mean, yeah. I mean, so it's interesting. It seems like they're comfortable at least with that strategy on letting go of control over the level of convenience. Is what that tells me.
Well, I mean, from what I meant by convenience is like hotels, they're only in certain locations, right? But in Airbnb, anybody has a home can be a location. So there is multiple locations for you to choose from. And sometimes hotel is not as close as the place you want to be, but Airbnb can be because it can be anybody's home.
And that affects the quality though. Because when you go to certain countries and if there is an issue with safety, it makes you question every Airbnb that you've seen and any rating you've seen because you don't really know what is the level of safety to the Airbnb while your things at the Airbnb. Do I need to be traveling with my passport and visa everywhere I go, or is it safe there?
There actually have been problems with Airbnb with that.
Right.
Like things got stolen and
So they don't push quality in their marketing, I think.
So I don't mind to
It's
pay
just
like
that
$100
for
more
the person
per
who
day
wants to
for
have
the
more money.
convenience and They're just so confined.
They definitely go for cheaper. That's what they go for.
Okay.
So they're competing on price,
Yeah.
which is hard.
price and convenience. No?
Well,
So,
depending on how we define
convenience as in like more locations for you to choose from rather than
Sure, availability. Maybe.
availability.
Yeah, maybe, but they're not. But convenience of receiving the service, it sounds like, is randomized.
The
Yes.
convenience of looking at hotels.com does very good job, and I feel more convenient to look at the hotels.com than the other one.
Airbnb.
Yeah. And then, as you mentioned about safety,
Yeah.
and it's like where the hotels are located, usually is more safer. So I just
True.
go like, it's more convenient. I perceive that as hotels.com is much more.
But
So actually, I'm glad we got into this discussion because this is something that I meant to touch on with the Starbucks. But you see, so marketing, there's different segments, right? So something may be high price in one category but low price in another, right? You have if you're paying, what is it? $10 for a plate versus $1 for a paper plate. Versus if you go to, so let's say that's low income to middle income, versus if you go to luxury, you might be paying $100 to $200 per plate. So there's different, within even price, you can have different, whether it's expensive or non-expensive in different categories, from the luxury category to mid-luxury to budget category, thank you, to the budget category. To the budget category. So with that, but also in so we see that in when you're comparing Starbucks to Dunkin' Donuts, we're looking at budget category to maybe middle market category, and you say that is cheap versus, but Starbucks, that's not the most expensive coffees on the market, right? We can say that's high quality, but if we can go further than that. So I also want to just let you know that there are categories within that. So now let's touch back on convenience and this. So there's different levers of convenience you can pull. Like you're saying, for me, it was location, It's close to everything, which for travel you can kind of fit that into excuse me, what's the category I'm looking at? Into quality but you can also put it into convenience if you want. As long as you understand it, I'm fine with which one you put it in. So you have that. But now, for people, different things are more convenient. For you, location is more convenient. For you, it is being able to check in at certain times.
No, both.
Huh?
Both time frame and location, both.
But something must be more important. Like
Yes. What's more important to you?
Time.
Yeah, you see, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So for everybody, there's a sliding scale of what's important, right? Everyone, there's a sliding scale of what's important, and that's fine. And I'm glad you're understanding this now, because you may hear different things from your customers that complain this isn't true luxury, or this isn't high quality. Maybe that's not your customer, but that's not your customer segment. The other people will appreciate you for what you are. So you can listen.
Yeah, Achumboro, you bought a bunch of paper plates. What are you talking about?
So yeah, exactly. But different people will appreciate. Some people complain paper plates. Other people say, "Oh my gosh, but the food is great." So so it's different. So I still want to keep it a bit basic, and we're starting off with this foundation, but letting you know there's way more different places we can go with that. Right. So for me, why I chose Airbnb when I was younger, and I still do it now. So they have me. Is cheapness and location. That was for me. In law school, young out of college or whatever, traveling around, it was location, and I couldn't afford hotels, so that's where I went to. But now I'm going to touch into a little bit of the story. So marketing is not only having your product, but listening to the market and adjusting it accordingly. So we're arguing over whether Airbnb is in 2 or 3 categories now, right? We're cheap, convenient, and quality, right? Those we're arguing whether they're in 2 or 3 categories. There are some people, they're rare, but there are some companies that operate in all 3 categories. Not all 3 or 4 categories. But with Airbnb, what they're doing, because they're listening to the market, now they have this option called, and this is not promotion. Now they have this option called, or they've had this app for business travelers, where it has more flexible check-in. And now they're listening to you about safety, things like that. They have another option for, they don't call it verified, superhost. So people, you see?
So it's like a screen.
Exactly. So they develop, because, and that's what you all have to do, whether it's you or the people on your marketing team. You have to listen to your clients, and sometimes you hear these problems and you build. You can't fix everything at once, so you have to focus on the most important thing. But as you get more money and you figure out which is the next important thing, then you say, okay, should I add this or shouldn't I add this? And you keep on building on that. So I'm glad that we touched on that. All right. Okay.
It's also interesting to me too, to like, I mean, as I think about it, like more and more, it's like, I mean, in my career, it's like, I mean, I'm an individual service provider. Like, I mean, my ability to, my name, hello everyone, the quality, speed, and convenience are things that I'm sort of always working on, always trying to build on in a lot of ways, and sort of listening to the market. I mean, a lot of it's going to come from listening to my colleagues, like internally, trying to sort of and at my level right now, and then I understand like the client service issues that we face. Like whenever the client says anything like one way or the other, we're always jumping all over it. And I think that is an outgrowth of the leadership of our group internally. But I can also see, like, I mean, go back to price. We are not competing on price. Like so I mean, it has to be competing really heavily on quality, speed, and convenience, and always trying to grow those things faster and better. And like, there's just no. That's it. Like that's all we can. That's. And you just sort of can't back down from it then. Like, I mean, I guess that's the other thing too, is like once you sort of start like setting yourself apart for quality, like you have to be so meticulous about it. Like it might have been enough like when you like first opened your first shop to like you were either doing it yourself or you had some people who were really dedicated about like their product, and you just automatically did a lot of things like really well. But now if you try to go to scale or you try to sort of expand your operations, then quality, like staying at high quality and sort of increasing your quality are things that require a tremendous amount of effort.
Well, here's my question. Is it possible that a business can be too flexible in always wanting to change for everything that they hear? Like, at what point do you know that what you're hearing should prompt you to change versus it's just something that's fleeting?
Yes, yeah, you can be too, the quick answer is you can be too flexible. You should not change just because you hear one thing or just, and sometimes you should change even if you don't hear anything. So you can be too flexible, and that's where I went into with this. In between them, each of them have a different opinion on what they want more out of convenience. Whether he wants location, she wants safety.
And Airbnb gave both.
Huh? Well, now,
No,
but at that time,
options for
yeah.
With the option for both.
Now they have options,
The
but
superhost.
but at a time they didn't. And what did it? They went with him who wanted location, right? They went with him who wanted location.
And value.
Exactly, and value. So
But then they found a way to do the time through the superhost.
exactly. So what I would say, and this it's different for everyone. I'm just gonna leave this here so it's easier for you, so you don't have to get up and get down. And what I will say for every one of you, this is why you want to find something. It's severalfold, but I'm going to focus on these things. One, that is valuable to your client, viable to your clients, and two, will give you the most. Will give you the most lifetime value, meaning going into the future. So this is 2 out of 3 things. Going into the future, it'll provide the most value out of the things you. And third, which may be the most important of the all, that you can compete on. That you can actually do better than your clients, better than your competitors, right?
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
So one is something that is valuable to your clients. So it has to be valuable to your clients. Hello. 2 is something that you can, remind me of 2?
Provide the most value in the future.
Yes. 2, something that will make you the most money or provide you the most value in the future. Meaning that it's not something that will be big now and then small later on. Maybe something that's small now but will be big later on. So you want to see something that has the best long-term value for your business. And 3,
That you can compete on.
that you can compete on. Thank you so much. That you can compete on. So those are the things that you want to put, and these will take hard decisions. Sometimes that means that you choose something that looks boring, looks like it doesn't have prospects now, but you're predicting in the future it'll take on. For example, Amazon. Amazon. What did they start? Books. That was the business.
Right.
Books. Selling books online. And so I'll break down the story a little bit for you. So when he started, Jeff Bezos, he saw that the exponential growth of the internet, he predicted that online e-commerce would be big. And what they did at first, they started off with selling books to one book, one by one. Versus you already had your Barnes and Nobles, which was focused on the popular copies and things like that. They did not turn to the popular copies. Instead, they turned to the unpopular, the niche copies, the things people only very few people wanted. And that's how they differentiate. And that seems silly. Barnes and Noble was much bigger than that. You're like, this is crazy. What that did 2 things. One, it let people know this is a place. It differentiated them from Barnes and Noble because Barnes and Noble, if you have a big physical location, you can't invest time in having niche books that not everyone's buying, especially if you're stuck in one market. So you have to focus on popular books. So Barnes and Noble, this is you. So something is usually something your other competitor can't compete on, because we just talked. There's trade-offs, right? There are trade-offs in each of the positions you take. There are trade-offs. So do that. But the benefit of that, even though they were struggling, is they learned how to ship packages, just one orders, just one book, which seems simple now, but that's very difficult. Learning how to find the one book and then send it to that one customer is very, very difficult. expensive. But what happened when Barnes & Noble finally realized what was going on, they couldn't duplicate Amazon, even though they were much bigger, because Amazon just had so much expertise in delivering that one book or that 2 books to people. And it seems really simple, but they got so good at that. Then what happened? Amazon, they went and they partnered with Toys R Us and started shipping their products for Toys R Us. Same thing with that. They became really good at selling one toy versus doing bulk. And when Toys R Us decided to split, Amazon realized during that period they can do this with almost any market. And now that e-commerce was really picking up, that's how the whole website, and they started, and when you're sending people you're seeing trends. You're learning people's buying habits on the minute basis. It's not looking at who's buying. You're seeing it across the country, so you're learning shipping and logistics, and that's why you see Amazon right now. What's Amazon's competition? How do they compete right now?
Who do they compete with, or how do they compete?
So, what's their unique value proposition, in your opinion? Prime,
overnight, 1 day free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So convenience,
Oh, I see.
faster.
Certainly free returns.
Convenience, yeah. What's
I think
Again,
they,
almost all of them.
they will ship globally.
mm-hmm.
You can find unusual products if you're looking for something
Yes.
unusual.
So they still.
It almost becomes almost like a Google search. Like if you want to look for something, you don't even have to go on Google. You just go onto Amazon and you type
Exactly.
in a phrase and it brings up all these things. So yeah, I guess their niche is being able to know what people want, and now that they have bought out
Whole Foods.
supermarket Whole Foods,
Mm-hmm.
and they've gone into fashion now, selling clothes.
Mhm.
They're really just trying to close down everybody. They actually now have trucks,
Okay.
Amazon trucks,
All right.
which is like
Funny you say.
a shop on wheels, and they will go through the neighborhood and you pick what you want. You don't have to keep it.
It's like an ice cream cart for stuff.
Yes.
Like,
That's what
awesome.
they're doing now.
Well, it seems like they compete on everything. Like, I mean, because they on
They're
all the
really
4 of
just
these
trying to
value
control
propositions.
everything.
Because like the quality, like they can almost crowdsource. They can say like, oh, okay, I've got these 10 different vendors, and then like I've got 1 million people who bought from them, and they review each of the vendors, and like, okay, this one gets 4 or 5 stars every single time. So it's got an aggregate review rating that's higher than everyone else's, and then people just sort of go towards that. And so then they sort of naturally have competed on quality because of their size. Like they got really good at convenience, speed, and then I'm not sure if they were worried about price or
They're
not,
shipping.
but
Nobody can compete with them on shipping. Even food, even things that are perishable. I don't know how they do that.
Yes, and I think that's
there we go.
That's from what you said to start off with. That's for me, that's their biggest the shipping. Because mom and pop store can't do it, right? Who's gonna ship faster than them? And it started off with that one book order, one book, and they started getting better at logistics. And they kept on doing. That's why I think Prime is one of the best marketing decisions ever made.
Yeah.
Like creating that membership is because that's how they lock me in. That's how they 2-day shipping. Oh yes, now they're moving to 1-hour shipping to Prime now. They're pushing, and they're finding ways you can't compete with them. So that's what I'm trying to get you to think about. It may look so silly at the beginning, but if you focus on that, and eventually you can put your one competitive advantage can grow to multiple competitive advantages. All right.
But also, he mentioned a little bit about the review. Like I go for the review
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times, and my time is precious. So it's like I'm not gonna explore other places, but then I go for the review if the other people say yes, and then I choose for the Amazon Select or something. They have the Amazon Select or something.
No, yeah, and before Prime, I think that was so shipping, but before that, reviews. It was actually one of their process, and that's one of the biggest things I think any business should do is try to create a review system, because it really creates a moat, as Warren Buffett likes to say. It protects you, because once you do that and you have hundreds to thousands of reviews, people come there not just to buy the product, but to know they can trust the product, right? And that's why you prefer that over, and as you say, you use it like Google now, right? To search for products. Because you can trust, it's not just people marketing, you can see who actually bought the product and who, and you can believe that it works, and if it doesn't, you can return it.
That's why care.com is having their niche in regards to caregivers, persons you can just have come into your home, almost like a task rabbit, to do tasks, because you can request a review, and these are real people who have worked with you, have spent their money, and they can truly say what they think about you or not. So I have been able to get jobs. I don't have to give in a resume or anything, because I have reviews online. They read that, and I'll get calls in, so I don't even have to pay care.com anymore to you know, have their membership to so-called push you up to the top, so you can be searched for easier. I don't need that anymore.
Okay. Now,
reviews make a difference.
they do. But what I would say to you, if I was you and I was advising as your marketing consultant, what I would say right now, you know, I would say I would pay for that and keep doing it, because
No, I can't, because of my full-time job. That's why I stopped having that membership.
Think about it. The reason why I say that is the more reviews, how many reviews you have now?
7.
Huh?
7.
7? Let's get that to 10, let's get that to 15, let's get that to 20, let's get that to 100. Imagine how many calls we want to get you to a point where you're turning down and you're not looking for. And after that, you can hire people. I don't want you to be a business, it's just you. Because that's really.
It's self-employment.
Yeah, self-employment is really terrible.
It is.
In my opinion.
It's only one you.
Yeah, you get the it's.
Yeah.
Let me not say terrible. That's a very strong word to say terrible, but
Worst of all worlds.
yeah, it really is. It really is. So I want, the more you can get and maybe transition, then you can really transition away from your full-time work and focus on that. But focus, if you feel like they're getting you good leads, while it's still early, because at this point, if you do, it's cheaper than later. Because as more people come on and you're competing against other 100-star reviewers, if now and you feel, I don't know much about care.com, or if you feel now it's still early and there's not many people in your segment, and you can become the market leader in that, it's easier to maintain your position at the top of the hill than to fight later on. So it's cheaper to do it now, just like YouTube, people who have million subscribers earlier rather than later, it's harder to have a million subscribers now because there's so many people in these. So develop your expertise and be known doing that, and may bite the bullet now, and later on you'll be like, oh my gosh, it's flowing in, and then we can do more with that.
Like what you said, the man from
Yes.
So I
Apple.
Exactly. Exactly.
I have one quick question. In terms of the shipping, because you focus on the shipping. So one point Google had a shipping too, $95. Amazon Prime $95, right? And the Google was faster shipping.
But Google is.
Google had shipping?
Yeah, that's-
do
Grocery.
all grocery.
So it was different. But then it disappeared. Like Amazon, they cannot compete. The Google Shopping cannot compete with Amazon, and it disappeared within 2 years.
So that goes to my man on the map, the King of the Hill reference. It's very hard to knock. People usually only can see one market leader. They don't really believe in 2 or 3 market leaders. There's usually 1, 2. There's 4, right? 4 market leaders.
Four big accounting firms, but they get conflicted out. Like, I mean.
Yeah. So the thing is, we think of a category and we think of one company, right? Whatever. Give me a top company in your for Uber, right? Uber. You think of Uber as more prestigious as Lyft, right?
Yeah.
Or Uber is better than Lyft, right? So getting that King of the Hill, it does several things. It makes it easier to market later on, but also you can use the economies of scale, right? So what now? Google competing on shopping with them, they're probably not sending out as much as Amazon was. So they can't negotiate with the with UPS and FedEx like Amazon. And then that means while they might be the same price, they may actually be losing money because Amazon is doing such a volume that they're able to extract better benefits from the people. Furthermore, Amazon was actually taking a loss on Prime for a while. because they knew how important it was to their strategy, and they'll just wait people out, wait other companies out, because being king of the mountain king of the hill is so important. So.
What many years did they take a loss on Prime for?
So Amazon took a loss for several years. Sorry, I didn't plan on speaking on Amazon, so I didn't bring my notes on them.
Yeah.
But Amazon's taken a loss on a multitude of their products and service lines.
Interesting. So Prime is the loss leader in the sense, like, it's a subscription fee. How the heck are they taking a loss on it?
Because they have to pay for shipping.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So they're paying. Oh, I get it. So they're absorbing a higher shipping cost that they're actually getting back.
Yeah, I saw something that it was $11 that they were losing per subscriber for shipping, but I don't know.
They're making back the money in
Maybe
the
not.
persons who are selling their things on Amazon. They have to pay Amazon. Sometimes, like if you do a search, you see sponsored.
Yeah, sure.
You have to pay more money for your product to come up front. Apart from that, just to sell on Amazon, they make you have to drive your price really low because they want to be competitive. So in a way, they get to make back the money that they are giving us as customers in the convenience of the shipping.
So maybe
Through those who are selling. So those who are considered third-party sellers are the ones who do not want to pay Amazon, but they can come in this low tier and nobody trusts them. You know, so as soon as Amazon says third-party seller only, people are like backing off like, because Amazon is not going to back them because they are not going to give more money to Amazon.
All right.
Yes. And I have a bit more to say, but I'll say it off camera about that if you want to get into details. But actually, some of their things they just lose money on because Prime is not just shipping. It's also they give you access to Prime Video, which is their version of Netflix and other things. So other things. So that I did want us to touch on that, and now you can see like the benefits of doing that. And I really want to focus you on being the best and trying to climb the hill as fast as possible. All right, because you can knock somebody off, but usually what happens if somebody's king of the hill they make a mistake, like Barnes and Noble. That's how Amazon said. Amazon shouldn't have supplanted Barnes and Noble. They picked the wrong thing. They didn't jump onto e-commerce fast enough. They were very slow to jump onto selling online.
Yeah.
So it's usually how you can be the king of the hill is you wait till they make a mistake. That's really how that happens. So other than that, that's what I'm trying to get you to be king of the hill or queens of the hill.
I think Barnes and Noble maybe was going for what Starbucks is now, because they did start to create that kind of environment to have people stick around, but something along the way just didn't click.
Yeah, they did it too late because before brick and mortar, but you have all these expenses of having a storefront and people coming in, and then why do I want, if I can get a book in 2 days, I can wait, right? I can wait 2 days to get a book. Or rather, Amazon wasn't competing on popular books, so you can win on popular books. We'll get the niche books and get that out. And eventually they moved from books to actually, they were smart with it. They moved from books to CDs because that's
In the Kindle.
Yes, you see, so these strategies build upon, but then we're getting a little bit out of but we're getting more into marketing strategy, and so I'm going to pull us back a bit. We can go deeper on that if you want later, but or another day. But let's continue. So now, let's see. I would like all of you to see what are your unique value propositions versus even you compared to other people in your place, and trying to say, how am I going to climb fastest? How am I going to differentiate myself?
So for me, like I guess compared to my peers, the people who I work with directly in the office, I come from my unique value proposition is that although I was trained as a lawyer, I come from a family of engineers, and so math has never been hard for me. Nor has any of the automation processes, the Excel, like any of the PowerPoint stuff, any of that stuff that can turn up what would otherwise be a really tedious process and it could require an army of accountants checking and cross-checking things. I can find ways to automate and know that I'm getting the right answers because I understand how the numbers and the process works, but I also understand how the tax technical works and what's important, what is the information we actually need to grab and pick out. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I've grown within the department to be known as someone who's sort of one of the best when it comes to just the Excel model and financial understanding.
So let's take it up a couple levels. What would that mean within our 4 value propositions?
So, sure. So that means that it's quality. I think that I'm terming it's quality and speed. And yeah, and the other thing that actually sort of ends up being almost the key factor here is convenience. Like quality and speed are really important. Like quality is almost number 1, right? Because we're never going to compete on. I mean, EY is just never going to compete on price, like where we are right now. So even if I was an old codger, been around and was paid, highly for this, that, and the other, if I was the one who produced the quality at the speeds we needed it, then like people are going to come to me. But the other thing that's really interesting is I think about, because I'm really glad you added convenience as a 4th thing here, because that's also really important too. Because I think I kind of got my foot in the door as a younger professional and understood the facts of the client. I was able to get my head wrapped around some of their data and how they think about it, and that allowed me to further push the envelope on speed and quality. Just because I had the raw materials, the raw numbers to work with. It wasn't because I was any kind of king of the hill. I don't know that I've dethroned anyone or anything. But it's just like I just sort of had the opportunities to because I sort of was willing to do right as sort of the young professional is like the kind of non-glamorous work. I got faster at it and I got better at it, and I think I was able to sort of push the envelope on speed and quality.
Perfect. And the reason why I wanted you to, so I think sometimes when we dive into details, which is good, we forget about the overarching goals and the value it has to others, because now from there, you can see what other services or how other improvements you can improve once you know which bills you fit into. You can say, okay, what are related things, or maybe I should go on more training seminars related to this. So I'm that.
Okay.
Yes.
So you would say I would want to further hone quality in the area I'm already good at, or
Yes.
Yeah.
And get faster. Somehow figure out ways to get faster, because you said that's what got you here,
Right.
And that's what we were talking about. That's what we were talking about to start off with, right? Business owners and the biggest mistakes we make are, some of the biggest mistakes are 1, not repeating actions that lead to success, and 2, repeating actions that lead to failure, right? That we know. So let's focus. These things let you success, get you better at that.
Yeah.
And you already know, and not only that, it fits into EY's value proposition.
Yeah, it does.
Right? So the quicker you get at that, the better you get at that, you're going to, oh my, he's doing exactly what we want people to do.
Right.
Right?
Increase value, shy away from activities that don't. Yeah.
Yeah. And now you're focused, okay, this is how I get better in something that I'm good at and that I enjoy.
Diminish. Yeah, okay. That actually clears up a few things for me in my mind about like what I should focus on and not do. And yeah, that's, and the only way to get, okay, I get it now.
I love Josh's yes. I'm like, oh, I'm doing something right. Oh, wait a minute.
Well,
it's a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like, because so I mean, I guess I can sort of, I hope I don't get too much into details here. Like, if I sort of focus on the areas where I'm already adding value, what that means is I'm focusing on the numerical analysis, and I'm probably focusing a little bit more on the technical analysis, where I can sort of push things there, better understand sort of the financial markets and this, that, and the other. What I'm not focused on then is like a whole lot of technical writing, which is something that I've always kind of wanted to get better at and felt like it was an area of weakness, something I should get at, this, that, and the other. But it's like, wait a minute, like but I haven't written a technical memo in a while, and but people have been like giving me a lot of numerical analysis, and like it's the same kind of, I mean, I still have to have the same kind of reasoning, I still have to understand the issue the same way, just because I'm not, writing it up in a memo versus writing it up in a model, like doesn't really matter. I work in an accounting firm, like not a law firm, and our deliverables are very numerical, and so like it's, if I just actually if I just said, yeah, screw it, I'm never gonna write another memo in my life. Like I will maybe write an email and that'll be it. Like I would, that would actually sort of free up some of at least my headspace to like sort of say like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I should be doing, where I should be focusing on.
I do want to say though we do need to focus on the second point, which was the lifetime value.
Right.
Making sure that fits into the longest lifetime value for you. That's something to think about as you're processing that.
So you want to fit it to all three, like value to your customer, most value in the long term, plus something you can compete on.
Yes. Yes. The most important, I would say, is something you can compete on and value to your customer. Because I do want you to start making money to start with, right? So those are the most important. Lifetime value, while I wouldn't want you to go away from that, if you just need cash now, keep that in the back of your mind, because as I said, this meetings I want to always be grounded in practicality. You can't always think about long term if you can't stand for the short term. But know that don't get caught up in the short term and give up the long term. All right. Awesome. Anyone else wants to volunteer their business?
So my
Yes, someone?
business is my.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
So my business is it's similar to hers, and I'll provide social support to teenager caregivers using Twitter. So the unique value is that I know that there are other competitors, like 80 different social support groups in Twitter for dementia caregivers, but it's international. The one unique value is that we are going to provide the support. Social support means providing the information and emotional support. They always have a crisis. So unique value is that which I can compete and nobody has is usually a lot of people when they answer.
Wait, hold on a second. I'm actually going to pause these videos